Doug Furnas is one of the most dynamic athletes to ever exist. He could have won at a pro rodeo as a teenager. He won a junior college national championship in football, then went on to play on the same team as Reggie White at Tennessee before playing with John Elway for the Broncos in the NFL. He then switched to powerlifting and broke a world record within 9 months of starting the sport. 4 years later, he became a professional wrestler and was a tag team icon in Japan and later worked in the WWF. And he managed to accomplish all of this while getting his athletic career cut short in a car accident. This is Doug Furnas' story. Doug Furnas was born on December 11, 1959 in Commerce, Oklahoma. As somebody who is from Oklahoma, I did not know where Commerce was until I started researching for this video. It's about as northeasternly as the state gets and is considered part of the larger Joplin, Missouri community. He grew up on a 270-acre ranch and began wrestling steers at a young age. He could have continued pursuing rodeo, but was forced to make a choice between rodeo and football and chose to play football. He started lifting weights as part of a recovery process after getting hit by a drunk driver, and that nearly killed him. He and his brother went on to play at Northeastern Oklahoma A&M, where they won a junior college national championship before they both went on to Tennessee. At Tennessee, they won a conference title and went to a Peach Bowl. Doug would later be signed by the Denver Broncos, but a nagging hamstring injury forced him out of football. This would end up being a blessing in disguise for Doug. Now that he was able to take powerlifting seriously, he thrived immediately. Doug and his brother apprenticed under fellow Okie powerlifting legend Dennis Wright, essentially shadowing his routines before going on to work out with legends like Ed Cohn. He started out competing in the 242-pound category, and despite really being too tall for the weight class, set a world record 818-pound squat, and later moved up to the 275-pound category. Once he was in the 275-pound category, he became only the third man to total 2,400 pounds in a competition, the first man to do it at 275 pounds, and the first man to do it twice. He still holds the collegiate records at 242 pounds for the squat and deadlift, which he set while he was playing football. He began wrestling after accomplishing just about everything he could have in powerlifting and started his career in Continental Championship Wrestling under Ron Fuller, where he would feud with the likes of Kevin Sullivan, Terry Gordy, amongst others. His career in the squared circle really started to thrive in 1989 when he began teaming with Dan Crawford. He and Crawford, known as the Can-Am Express, began working in All Japan Pro Wrestling together and first won the All Asia Tag Team Championships, defeating Toshiaki Kawada and Samson Fuyuki for them in May of 1989, holding the belts for 137 days before dropping them back to Kawada and Fuyuki, winning them back 133 days later, then dropping them to Kenta Kobashi and the future Mitsuharu Misawa, still under the Tiger Mask. In 1991, they won the titles for the third time against Dynamite Kid and Johnny Smith, dropping them this time to Johnny Ace and Kenta Kobashi, winning them back a month later from Joel Deaton and Billy Black. And on May 25th, 1992, they had their magnum opus, losing the titles to Tsuyoshi Kikuchi and Kenta Kobashi in a Meltzer 5-star match and the Wrestling Observer Match of the Year for 1992. The next year, in 1993, they would win the titles for the final time, defeating the Eagle and the Patriot. They vacated the titles to focus on the larger World Tag Team Championships, but they would never win them. After finishing their run in All Japan Pro Wrestling, the Can-Am Express began working in the United States again in the mid-90s. They worked for ECW, working matches with Rob Van Dam and Sabu before signing to the WWF. They were largely lower mid-carders in the WWF and eventually went back to ECW, where they would win the ECW Tag Team Championships from Little Guido and Tracy Smothers, the full-blooded Italians, holding them only a day before dropping them to Chris Candido and Lance Storm. Furnas' last match would be challenging for the ECW TV title during Rob Van Dam's historic reign in 1998, but shortly after, another car accident bookended his athletic endeavors and he was forced to retire. Doug Furnas is an absolute legend in powerlifting circles and in my eyes is underrated as a professional wrestler. He was transcendently athletic and one of the most dynamic athletes to ever grace the planet.